AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Mute. So. And Mr. Toby Tomplin. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Terrio in 1 hour. Saints, 4th round pick out of Auburn. Jeremiah Wright in 30 minutes. Kendall Rogers right around the bend. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
You probably heard by now, but just in the off chance that you have not, LSU baseball against South Carolina postponed. So no game here Friday. They will, in fact, play a doubleheader Saturday. 1 o'clock, game 1, 6:30, game 2, a game 3 on Sunday as scheduled still. So Tigers and Gamecocks, no game tonight on Friday, doubleheader on Saturday. All the info for free over at LouisianaSports.net. You can get it there as you head into the baseball weekend. NFL draft is in the rearview mirror, but I think it's interesting in this next wave of roster building, how the teams go post-draft. Still looking at undrafted free agents. Some teams may sign veteran free agents or make trade deals. You go into free agency with a target of what you may like to accomplish, and you sign players, and then if you don't sign players, maybe you address that in the draft. If you still don't address it in the draft, you go on free agency. We've seen a good bit of that. Saints, defensive backfield, defensive end so far. But the Saints made a move on Friday that I think is potentially really significant. The Saints have signed defensive tackle Zxavian Harris out of Ole Miss. Now, if you're not familiar, I'm going to give you the bio and why this is significant, but every defensive tackle on the Saints roster every veteran defensive tackle has effectively been put on notice. First, they use a 2nd-round pick on Christian Miller out of Georgia, and now they go add Zxavian Harris as a UDFA. And this isn't your common garden variety UDFA. A lot of SEC fans probably are familiar with Zxavian Harris. But if you're not, he is massive. This guy is 6'8", 330. That's what Ole Miss listed him as. His combine numbers are more like 6'7", 320. But still, you get the picture. A gigantic human being. Spent 4 years at Ole Miss, played in 52 games with 25 starts. Over those 4 seasons, 123 tackles, 17.5 TFLs, 5.5 sacks. This year alone, 2025, this season alone, from an interior defensive line spot, he had 58 tackles, 9 TFLs, and 3 sacks. He's a dude. ESPN rated him as the number 5 defensive tackle in the draft and the 63rd overall prospect. That means they had him as a late 2nd-round pick. Okay? So why did he go undrafted? Glad you asked. So in 2023, he got arrested for DUI, evading police. He basically was drunk, speeding, and then he tried to run from cops. Dumb. In 2024, he had a domestic violence incident. And then he goes to the combine, participates, and then shortly after the combine, he has foot surgery, did not participate in his pro day. He was there with a boot on. So the guy on the field is undeniable. The guy off the field raised enough questions to where teams didn't draft him. Now, at the combine, Zxavian Harris talked about his time at Ole Miss.
It was a good process. I ain't gonna lie, I loved Ole Miss from the start. Before I even left high school, so going up there, staying up there, really put on for my city. So, and the coaches, every year we almost had different coaches. And last year, Kiffin left, but it's just something that happens in college football. But I enjoyed it.
Zxavian Harris also at the combine made some waves because. This is relevant maybe to LSU fans, not necessarily the Saints fans, but he did take a shot at Lane Kiffin at the combine.
What's the outlook of the program under PG?
It's for sure going to blast off. I know it's going to be way better than what Kiffin had did to it, for sure.
He basically, the question was, how do you think the program will be under PG, Pete Golding? So it'll be way better, it'll blast, it'll be way better than it was under Kiffin. So some people take that as a slight. I don't really care. Guys on his way out at Ole Miss saying whatever, I genuinely don't care, especially through a Saints lens. What I do care about is what Pete Golding said. Because Pete Golding had media availability last week after this was actually, what was this? What day was this? It was this week on the 27th. It was Monday. So it was Monday after the draft. Zxavian Harris goes undrafted. Golding is meeting with reporters. Remember, this was his defensive coordinator. So Golding, although he's the head coach now, was the DC for Zxavian Harris during his time at Ole Miss. This is what Golding said this week after the draft. So Harris goes undrafted. This is what Golding said about his future.
No, I think Zay, I don't think it's how you start. I think it's how you finish. I think a lot of that could be looking at the body type and all those type of things and the projection and all those. But, Zay loves football. Zay's tough. He's competitive. He's got a really good skill set. So Zay's going to find the right spot. I think that's the benefit of free agency, of what scheme is it and what's the right fit. And there's some versatility up front because I think he's a very versatile player. And then continue to develop his body, all right, continue to get in better shape and all those things. But I think Big Zay has a very bright future. Hopefully he'll get in a room with a vet and see it done the right way on a day-to-day basis. And I think he's got an extremely bright future.
Okay. You heard him say skill set, right? Fit, and then getting in a room with a vet that could show him the way to do things the right way on a day-to-day basis. Well, the skill set and the fit is undeniable in New Orleans. Remember, Bo Davis is left LSU to go to the Saints to be the defensive line coach, and from his time at LSU and at Texas, we know what Bo Davis wants. Bo Davis wants big, giant, space-eating interior defensive lineman. Remember, he had Vernon Broughton at Texas. Then he goes to New Orleans. They draft Vernon Broughton, who's 6'4", 340. They bring in Devon Gottschall, big, giant, space-eating, zero-technique nose from New England. And now they go add Zxavian Harris, who's 6'8", 330. This is a prototype, right? There is a body type and skill set that Bo Davis wants from his interior defensive line. Zxavian Harris checks that box. I also think Devon Gottschall has been 10 years in the league, an exemplary pro. And honestly, when you think about his time at Plaquemine, where he's defensive end who tore his ACL, comes to LSU, puts on weight, moves to the inside, plays as a freshman, continues to develop, goes to the pros, gets drafted, Dolphins, Patriots, now New Orleans. He has been an exemplary pro. So all of that fits. But I also look at this from New Orleans' perspective, and you go, Gottschall and Shepard are in the final year of their contracts. You picked up a fifth-year option for Brazee for 2027, but you got Christian Boyd, Vernon Broughton coming off of injury. You just drafted Miller in the second round. You signed undrafted free agents. Javier Suggs was a UDFA. You signed Silver, now Harris. So you've got bodies there, and you're looking to get younger in the future because after this year, Gottschall and Shepard are likely gone. And Brazee in 2027 will be in his fifth year, provided he plays in the fifth-year option. We'll see how this year goes for Brian Brazee, or maybe they extend him. I don't know. But Brazee's fifth-year option at $13.9 million for 2027 is about the only certainty. And so you've added Miller and now Harris as guys that could supplement that room on very affordable rookie deals. The New Orleans Saints are behaving like a competent organization. They've got to be okay with the person, right, who's been arrested a couple times and had off-the-field stuff. They got to be okay with the person. And if they are, the player is undeniable, because you're talking about a guy here that should have been a second or third round pick in this draft. One of the top 5 to 10 interior defensive linemen in the entire draft goes undrafted. I mean, this is a major, major coup. And I'll rewind the clock when you look at Carl Granderson. It was similar with Granderson, a guy who had issues in college, domestic violence, ends up at Wyoming, if you recall. The Saints add him as a UDFA, and he's been a model citizen, great locker room guy, and a really productive player as a UDFA that the Saints added. This could be another one of those. It's just, do you trust your personnel evaluation? And if they do, and they're okay adding Harris, the person, the player is undeniable. So this is one that is not your common garden variety UDFA that's coming in just hoping to make the team. This is a super high ceiling guy that only went undrafted because of some of the off-the-field stuff. And if they figure that out, you struck gold with a UDFA here. So Zxavian Harris out of Ole Miss signs with the New Orleans Saints to fortify a defensive tackle group that has growing depth there. All right, it's After Further Review. Show Up and Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the Saints, and the official beer of your Fighting Tigers of LSU. Heading out to the box this weekend for LSU, South Carolina. Make sure you drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of the Tigers. I'll be down at Jazz Fest tomorrow. Make sure if you're down at Jazz Fest, if you're at LSU baseball, at Tiger Park to watch softball against Auburn, whatever it may be, make sure you got plenty of delicious ice-cold Bud Light. Maybe you're at your favorite crawfish boil. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of your Fighting Tigers of LSU. Speaking of baseball, we missed Kendall Rogers yesterday. We'll preview the baseball weekend with Kendall Rogers when we come back. And Saints' 4th-round offensive line draft pick Jeremiah Wright in 17 minutes. Terrio next hour. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
A big hat tip to Chef Reed over at Tallulah inside of Renaissance Baton Rouge. Went over there yesterday. Chef Reed, just about in the last couple of weeks, has rolled out new menu items. If you have not been to Tallulah in a while, or maybe you've never been, what an awesome opportunity to get to Tallulah. Listen, I tell you all the time, this isn't a hotel restaurant. It's not a restaurant that just caters to their hotel guests. Their hotel guests certainly patronize the restaurant, but they have an amazing local business. I mean, there's a lot of times, I was actually talking to David yesterday, who's the GM. It's like a lot of times, our reservations just from locals are so robust on the weekends that our guests sometimes have trouble getting in to eat at Tallulah. Anyway, book a reservation for dinner, pop on in for that business lunch, especially right there in the medical district on Bluebonnet. Go see our friends at Tallulah inside of Renaissance Baton Rouge on Bluebonnet. It's Tallulah at the Renaissance.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Our baseball Tigers postponed doubleheader on Saturday with the Tigers and the Gamecocks. We missed Kendall Rogers yesterday, D1 Baseball at Kendall Rogers. Good enough to jump aboard with us here. Yo, man, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Yourself?
Doing okay, man. We appreciate you for making time as always. This was supposed to be Paul Maneri's return to Baton Rouge. This series certainly is not manifest the way that we thought it would. Neither team is really good. Do you see an edge somewhere for either team?
Yeah. I mean, let's be real here. Like, I think LSU's had a tough season, but I think they're better than South Carolina. So, yeah, I mean, I do think LSU overall has an edge over South Carolina. Particularly, I just have more faith in them at home from an offensive standpoint than I do South Carolina at all anywhere. So, I mean, there's no doubt the Gamecocks are playing better with Monty Lee. But, I mean, this is a series that, let's be honest, LSU should not only win it, but, I mean, if you're serious about at least attempting to make a run here at the end, you need to sweep it.
You're right.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's a realistic thing, though, Kendall.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I mean, unless you disagree, at this point, it feels like 21 games into conference play, you are what you are.
You are. I mean, let's look at the math here. I mean, let's just say you even sweep it. You're still only at 9 wins. You go in the final 2 series of the year at Georgia against Florida. Let's say you get one at Georgia. I mean, maybe win the Florida series, be at 12, and then go into Hoover. You still have a lot of work to do, but at least give you a shot.
No. Well, right as of now, no Case in Evans. So Schmidt and Paz will move up. Sunday will be TBD. How do you think the LSU pitching staff fares against Carolina's lineup?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think South Carolina is really overwhelming. I think they're one of those lineups that is very opportunistic. If you give them chances, they'll take advantage of it. But, I mean, I think this is really interesting to see kind of how Paz pitches in the situation, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we talked about it last week about LSU playing with house money a little bit at Mississippi State. And granted, they didn't close out games, but they put themselves at least halfway through games in position to win those games. So I think in the same way I talked about that, like, I want to see how Paz pitches. Like, hey, dude, there's no pressure. Like, you're a premium arm. You're in the weekend rotation in an SEC series. Like, let's see how you pitch this weekend. So I think he's the guy I kind of have circled. I'm really curious to see how he fares, in this situation.
Kendall, I'm curious to see if anybody can catch Georgia in the SEC. Georgia's at home against Missouri, and then they get LSU. Yeah. I think that's going to be really tough. But State at Texas this weekend is kind of the marquee matchup of the weekend. What do you see on paper there with State at Austin?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me with that series is, Mississippi State's offense was better last weekend. Does it translate on the road in what will more than likely be an unseasonably cool weather in Austin and on that turf with a north wind? And so I'm curious to see how the offense fares there. I do think Texas, for me at least, has the advantage overall on the mound. I mean, I don't think Ryan McPherson's returning for Mississippi State this weekend. So given that, I think Texas does have the edge on the mound. I do think Mississippi State has the edge on the offense. In this kind of series, especially with the weather being a little iffy, I kind of side with the home team here.
Look, you had another top 10 matchup in the league with Auburn at Texas A&M, and Auburn's Jekyll and Hyde season has continued. They're on the road in College Station. Kendall, I don't know, you tell me. I don't know what to make of this series. I don't really know what to make of Auburn this year at all, sitting there at 8th in the country when they keep having this yo-yo effect.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting when you look at Auburn. The thing about them that's really interesting is, for the most part, they've been pretty consistent on the mound. I mean, if you look at their pitching staff with, Alex Petrovic and Andres Alvarez, Jake Marciano, those three guys, for the most part, have been pretty good. I think, for me, the X factor in this series is, can Auburn score enough runs to kind of stay with that A&M offense? Because it doesn't matter who you're pitching. Like, A&M's probably scoring 6 to 7 runs in that game. And so I'm very curious to see how their pitching does against A&M's offense. And, on the same token, Auburn offensively last weekend looked pretty solid. Ethan Bingaman, a young slugger for them, had a really big weekend, had a 3-home run game last week. Obviously, we know about, Chase Fralick and guys like that, but really curious to see if a guy like Bingaman, has another strong weekend. I kind of like A&M at home, just given how they're playing. And as you mentioned, given how Auburn can sometimes be a little up and down.
Kendall Rogers is with us, D1Baseball.com, D1Baseball.com. Get him at Kendall Rogers. There's actually 4 series this weekend that are ranked on ranked. The other 2 are Ole Miss at Arkansas and Florida at Oklahoma. Yeah. Let's take a look at the Rebels at the Hogs. What's on the line there this weekend, Kendall?
I think for me, for Ole Miss, it's kind of staying in that top 16. I mean, as you look right now, you have to have Mississippi State ahead of them as of today. Mississippi State is 4-0 against them. So Ole Miss right now would be behind Mississippi State. That doesn't mean they're out of the top 16, but let's just say you lose a series, you're suddenly sitting at 12-12. That's not going to do it for a top 16. So I think for Ole Miss, it's just staying firmly in the top 16. I think for Arkansas, it's potentially getting back into the mix for a top 16. I think they've got a long road to go. The RPI is not where it needs to be, but, if they're 13-11 after the weekend, they'll have a shot. I still think Arkansas is very average this year, but so for those guys to even be in the discussion right now, is rather interesting to me.
And then what about Florida at Oklahoma?
Well, once again, kind of the story, right? Like what Florida shows up. The Friday against A&M, Aiden King's up there chest thumping and talking smack. Florida's playing with edge Saturday and Sunday. A&M kind of was the aggressor, and Florida kind of laid down a little bit. So, it's just a matter of, going on the road. Does Florida, kind of have that hard-nosed attitude? I think Oklahoma, as you guys saw in Baton Rouge, really interesting team. They're not overwhelming. They're flashy. But if you give them opportunities in terms of walks and things like that, they will make you pay for it. What does Florida do a lot of? They have some command issues outside of Aiden King. So command of that, from that Florida pitching staff is what I have my eye on. And, again, in Oklahoma is another team that I think is still in the mix for a host. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but they're 11-10 in the league. They're 15, in our rankings, and they're right there as well.
Playing SEC schedule, man, 30 league games. It's going to put you in the mix if your head's above water. Anything else on the SEC slate this week, Kendall, that I'm missing that you think is worth keeping an eye on?
Yeah, even right now, I think I want to say Alabama just wrapped up a win over. Yeah, Alabama won just now 5-0.
It's finished.
So
okay.
Vanderbilt guys.
What happened last night, man? With I'm sorry. Finish your point. I'll come back to Corbin's decision last night, but go ahead, finish your point. Sorry.
Yeah, now with that 5-0 win, Vanderbilt now is 10-12 in the league. The RPI is still in the mid-60s. I think they're done. They finish up with South Carolina. I think it's South Carolina, and they finish up with South Carolina and Missouri. Even if you sweep those two series, I don't care if you're, 16-12, you're not getting in with a 62 or a 58 RPI in the SEC. You're just not doing it.
So last night, Alabama rallied to win game 1 against Vanderbilt. And Kendall, was a game where Tim Corbin pulled his starter with a lead, and it felt like maybe it was a little premature. Thoughts on that?
Yeah.
And of course, obviously, they blew the lead. So thoughts?
That was not great. Connor Fennell kind of earned the right to work himself out of that jam. They had a lead. He's at 70 pitches. It's not like their bullpen is good. So, that was an extremely perplexing decision. And frankly, it was kind of a microcosm of their season. If you go back and look at their resume as a whole, they didn't do a lot in non-conference. They didn't really do anything in non-conference. And frankly, they haven't really done anything in conference. So, it's going to be a rare year where, Vanderbilt and more than likely LSU will not be in the NCAA tournament, which is a little bit jarring.
Yeah, it would be an upset for either of them to make it at this point. Anything national?
I actually think I like LSU's chances right now better than I do Vanderbilt.
That's a mouthful, especially with LSU going to Georgia next week and then having to host Florida to wrap things up. But 9 games to go, and then the SEC tournament. Anything nationally?
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of a slow weekend, actually, if I'm being honest with you. But, Pittsburgh to Florida State is interesting from the bubble standpoint. Pittsburgh swept Virginia last weekend to get back on the right side of the bubble. They're at FSU this weekend. FSU not playing great as of late. In terms of other series, again, it's a super light slate. Maybe Kansas State, West Virginia. Kansas State, again, one of those bubble out teams right now. They've got a chance to go on the road to West Virginia, win that series. West Virginia, fighting to at least stay in the hosting discussion. They're probably not going to get there, but they do finish up with, a couple of tough RPI teams. So if they won this series, they would have a chance to get back in there. But, yeah, honestly, the national slate is not the best.
Well, we're less than a month away from the start of postseason play, so it's almost upon us. Great time to be a college baseball fan. Kendall Rogers, D1Baseball.com, at Kendall Rogers. Give him a follow. Thanks, man. We appreciate you making it happen.
You got it, brother. Have a good weekend. Thank you.
You too, man. We'll see you. It's After Further Review, brought to you by Rouse's, official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Still got hot boiled crawfish every single day at every single Rouse's location, and they boil them in-house. Every single Rouse's location has in-house boiling rooms, so they boil their crawfish hot, fresh, daily at all 76 Rouse's locations. So when you walk into Rouse's and you buy those boiled crawfish, they're not being brought in from somewhere else. They're not old. They were boiled that day in-house at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the Saints. Doing your grocery shopping this weekend, get to the website or the app or Facebook. Check out the weekly ad, show you all the specials they have. So you want to make sure that you take advantage of those, buying on a budget, or you want to just save. Who doesn't? Rouse's can help you do it. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Rouse's. This feels like home. All right, Ontario in 30 minutes from right now. Riot Radio Hours return. Looking forward to that. Let me knock out a break. Friday show is brought to you by Don Juan Cigar Bar. When we come back, Saints' fourth-round pick, offensive lineman out of Auburn, Jeremiah Wright, jumps aboard with us. Excited about that conversation. It's next on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Spell it out, O-N-E, 1hourbr.com. Or, I always encourage you, man, jump on Google and go read those 5-star Google reviews. Keith Veltman sent this one about JJ, his technician. He said, JJ, as usual, was very professional and efficient in attending to the normal cleaning duties. He pointed out improvements that were needed for the trailer AC, and he put those into place. Great guy, great service, very satisfied. You can go read 5-star Google reviews all day long because at River City's 1 Hour Air, they've got more than double the amount of 5-star reviews of the next closest competitor because for 40 years, they've been treating people awesome, doing great work at a fair price. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with a giant clock on the side, 752-0001.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
All right, Saints' fourth-round pick, Jeremiah Wright, set to join us in just a bit here. Ontario next hour. So with Jeremiah Wright coming up, we'll do around the SEC in the next segment. There is a really interesting story that's kind of percolating around college football and college athletics that is worth keeping an eye on. If you haven't seen it yet, the Big 12 has reportedly reached a 5-year private equity deal. And I've mentioned over and over and over again, we're moving into this era where schools, athletic departments, conferences are going to have to find creative ways to generate new revenue. And you're starting to see private equity become part of that conversation. We'll get to this in a little more detail coming up in the next segment. But excited to welcome aboard Saints' fourth-round pick, offensive lineman out of Auburn, Jeremiah Wright, joins the show now. Jeremiah, we appreciate the time, man. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Man, I'm doing awesome. Thanks so much for jumping aboard with us and taking the time. You know, it was I was interested watching your post-draft Zoom conversation with the local media where you kind of got emotional, and I'm just curious why. What was that rooted in?
Yes, sir. So I just got emotional because, for one, it's a blessing. God just gifted me with the talent, my size, and just being able to make it to the league to just get my name called on draft night. And it was very special, very big for my city, especially being from Selma, Alabama. Just having the opportunity to go to Auburn and play and just become, a great player. And now, with my dreams, one of my dreams being accomplished, it's like, man, you taking that next step, and a lot of kids back at home look up to you, and they, you like a role model. So it's just an inspiration. Just keep going, never give up, keep the faith. Times get hard, just, keep being you, keep working, doing the dirty work, the extra work, late night grinding when people don't see everything. Just keep working.
Man, we're playing the draft video there of you getting your name called. You mentioned being from Selma. I was looking at your bio. I didn't realize, man, you played baseball in high school as well as football?
Yes, sir.
What did you?
Yes, sir.
All right, you don't see many 6'5", 300-pound defensive, offensive linemen playing baseball, man. All right, what position did you play?
I played baseball. I did all positions except for pitcher. And, I did pitch. I just didn't do hind catcher.
Wait, so, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd sort of typecast you as like the big power hitting first baseman. You did some of that? Oh, did we lose him?
Yes, sir.
Oh, there he is. There he
Can
is.
you
There he is.
repeat that? Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, man, I kind of would have pegged you as like the big power hitting first baseman. You did some of that?
Oh, yes, sir. So they kind of like them love pitching to me because they already know I was a great hitter. And I think I only got struck out probably like 3 times, 4 times, maybe three, but another time they probably will walk. They'll walk me.
Oh man, Jeremiah Wright's with us here. Hey, when the draft process can be interesting, man. You talked to a lot of different teams. So you were a Senior Bowl participant. Obviously pro day, all the sort of stuff. Did you have a lot of conversations with the Saints before the draft?
Yes, sir. I had a Thursday visit with them. Kind of had their staff when I was at Senior Bowl, so I got to meet a lot of guys like Coach Joel, and man, we just clicked from the first day out there. Just me being able to go out there and set the tone of practice, and seeing the energy that he brought, and me being able to match that energy and bring everybody else along and just get practice going. We kind of already clicked.
Yeah. You bounced around a little in your career from offense to defense back to offense. I think a lot of people maybe know that part of your story. Was there a point where maybe did you favor offense over defense? Like when that decision came that ultimately you were going to stick in that lane? How did that decision get made?
So for me, I did both ways in high school, so it kind of didn't really faze me, especially when I came in as a freshman. It's like I wanted to do anything to help my team win and get, a championship and just to get out there and be on the field. That was, everybody goes to come in and want to play as a freshman. So me, just being able to talk to Coach Gus and making that swap over the D-line to help the team, and kind of got to play in the second half of the season and went from there.
Ultimately, when you went back to the offensive side, you obviously became, a 2-year starter there on the interior of that offensive line at Auburn. Why did you make the decision to go back? Did the coaches encourage you to do it or something you wanted to do?
I say a little bit of both. Just a little bit of both.
What do you think as you come into the NFL are things, as guys played a ton of football at the highest level in college, that you feel like you still need to work on?
And technique-wise, just definitely in pass protection. But overall, I just say just being able to come in there, maintain whatever goals or with body comp and everything that coach want me to be in, just getting that under control and being where I need to be at that point, and just go from there.
Have you been to New Orleans?
My first time was on my 30 visit.
Okay, what'd you think?
I kind of loved it. I kind of went like the 2 spots beside the facility, and it was lovely.
Do you remember where you went?
I went to some place where we had oysters at, so it wasn't too far from the facility.
You can find a lot of good food, man. Oysters or any kind of seafood if you want. Another guy, part of your draft class, Christian Miller from Georgia. I know Auburn and Georgia play every year. Did you ever get to square off against him in college in that Auburn-Georgia game?
Yes, sir.
What'd you think about him, man, about your new teammate?
Pretty good. He's a great player, man. Just ready to get to work with him.
Man, it's going to be, I know rookie minicamp is coming up May 7th, right? Next week. You'll be in New Orleans for rookie minicamp, and the journey begins, man. We're going to follow it, man. We're going to wish you luck. Thanks so much for taking a few minutes with us today. Congrats again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yep, it's our pleasure. That's Jeremiah Wright, Saints 4th-round offensive line draft pick out of Auburn, a guy who you heard, look, he's a massive human, and a guy who bounced from offense to defense, back to offense, as we mentioned, and once he stuck on the offensive side, he became a 2-year starter on the interior. And I think there's a pretty obvious target here, which is, you sign David Edwards in free agency to be your starting left guard, and you sign him to a very the most lucrative contract for a guard in this free agent class. And on the right side, you have Cesar Ruiz, who look, I mean, there's no reason to continue to belabor the point. We know Ruiz has his former first-round pick. He has struggled. He's been a starter for you, but I think it's fair to say he's a bottom-tier starter in the NFL. Still an NFL player, but a lower-tier starter. And this is a pick that points to New Orleans maybe spending a year grooming Jeremiah Wright to potentially take over for Cesar Ruiz in 2027 as the starting right guard. And if nothing else, what it gives you in 2026 is really quality depth on the interior. Because you had Dylan Radins a year ago. Will Clapp is obviously retired now. So some of the interior offensive linemen that you've counted on there, this adds another body, a talented guy, super athletic and a huge human who maybe isn't ready to start immediately, but projects as that potentially as early as 2027. So one worth keeping an eye on, man. That's a guy that feels like a low-risk pick in round 4, a higher floor type guy. Maybe not the boom potential of being, one of the best interior offensive linemen in the NFL, but who's to say? I mean, we saw the Saints take guys like Jari Evans in round 4 and Carl Nicks in round 5, who became the 2 best interior offensive linemen in the NFL. So you got a guy from Auburn who's played an awful lot of football, over 50 collegiate games, super athletic, and gets effectively a redshirt year this season as a rotational piece and a depth piece who might very well be the heir apparent for Cesar Ruiz in 2027 at right guard. So we appreciate Jeremiah Wright for a couple of minutes. We're brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. You look outside right now, it is storming. I mean, rain all through the forecast today in Baton Rouge, part of the reason why baseball games tonight have been postponed. But you drive on wet streets, and there are a few times you will really appreciate having the best tires on the road than when you're driving on wet streets, because you realize when the best tires with that tread grip the road, keeps you safe, especially when you got your family in the car with you. Man, having the best tires on the road on your vehicle gives you tremendous peace of mind. And you want that, but you also want a great deal, and that's what Shawbills offers. Name brand tires at wholesale prices. So you can shop them online, year, make, model, body, style, price, narrow it all down. You can also search all the deals they have. There's a promotions tab on the website. It'll tell you all the deals they have for every tire. Your tires are a commodity. You can buy the same exact product at all these different places. You want a Michelin, a Bridgestone, a Firestone, a BF Goodrich, a Toyo, it's the same tire no matter where you go. So you want to go where you're going to get great service and the best price. That's always going to be Shawbills. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, we keep you rolling. All right, y'all, Terrio's here in 15 minutes from right now after SportsCenter. Let me knock out our final break of hour number 1. We'll come back. We'll go around the SEC. And I want to roll up my sleeves, dig a little deeper into the Big 12's private equity deal that is being reported today, and why I think that is a really significant decision for the Big 12, and maybe even more of an illustration of what's to come, maybe in the SEC and other places. We'll dive into that as we continue here. It's AFR.
After further review.
If you're a business owner, you always look at where you might be able to help your bottom line. You go through budgets, and if you're diligent, you go through line items, and so often there are hidden costs that are things that you have just set on auto draft and you forget about. Well, your physical space can be more efficient, and Rev Fiber might be able to help. So we've talked about Rev now for a while. In Rev, we're talking about internet service provider, cable, phone, security, automation, all that sort of stuff, and an all-fiber network. So you're going to get a better product with local service, and in many instances, a better price. It is so worth, look, this for your home certainly, but for your business as well. What if they could save you hundreds or thousands a month on your internet, on your phone, security, all that stuff? It's worth checking into it. RevFiber.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
All right, wrapping up hour number one. A busy hour. Thanks to Kendall Rogers and Saints offensive lineman Jeremiah Wright for jumping aboard with us. Terrio's here in a dozen minutes from right now. I do want to talk about that Big 12 private equity deal, but let's do this first. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia landed a commitment from 2027 tight end Jackson Dollar. I need to get Sharif on that one. Jackson, Jackson Dollar. Picked Georgia over Notre Dame, Miami, and others. The number 32 player in the country, number 2 tight end.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
Sooners land a commit from 2027 edge Samuel Nelson, the 21st member of OU's class. That offers from Arkansas, Florida State, others. His older brother, Matthew Nelson, currently plays at OU, so the brothers will be on a team together. Nelson's the number 497 overall prospect in the country.
The Florida Gators.
Florida landed a commitment from former Jacksonville basketball player Jalen Jordan to play football. So Florida offered him a scholarship to play football as he was working out at the Gators Pro Day. He's now committed to the Gators. He'll suit up for Florida this fall. 6'6", 240, took reps at tight end during their Pro Day. He was granted the graduate year for next season.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Shane Beamer's landed a commitment from wide receiver DJ Huggins, number 473 nationally. He's out of Georgia. He's the 57th receiver in the country. Chose Carolina over Georgia, Bama, Arkansas, Clemson, Florida State, and others.
The Missouri Tigers.
Mizzou landed a commitment from Luke Ianchuk out of the state of Illinois. 6'5", 285. He's a 3-star. Auburn, Arkansas, some of the others in the mix for the interior offensive lineman.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
And the 22nd ranked Hogs will be without one of their infield starters for the series opener against Ole Miss. Reese Robinette is out on the SEC availability report. Redshirt Jr. started 41 games this season, hitting 252, but he'll miss the opener. He started the midweek win against Northwestern State, the injury not disclosed. All right, there you have it. That is around the SEC. We are presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. 2 things to remind you about. A week from Sunday, Mother's Day. Graduation, like now. Take care of Mom. Thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Mom is taking care of us our whole lives. Take care of Mom on Mother's Day. Thrill her with a gift from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Shop the great Mother's Day selection online at lmfj.com. And, of course, for those graduates, maybe it's elegant pearls, a beautiful timepiece, writing utensil, so many awesome options for that graduate on your list at Lee Michaels. Shop them online or walk into any of their 9 locations: Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, and online at lmfj.com, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. The Associated Press is reporting that the Big 12 has approved a 5-year agreement with Redbird Capital Partners, so their first conference in a major college sport network, to strike a league-wide private equity deal. So Front Office Sports was the first to report the deal, and it's been ratified by the Big 12 presidents and chancellors. The intent here is to grow revenue, obviously, for the league, and it's going to provide the Big 12 a $12.5 million capital infusion to create more commercial revenue for the conference, and the 16 schools can access up to $30 million each that they can draw from on a line of credit to be paid back with a double-digit interest rate over time. Now, listen, I don't live, work, exist in the private equity world. The double-digit interest rate seems high. Maybe that's appropriate given the time and the need. But what this goes to tell you is that every single athletic department in the country, it's what we've talked about here for more than a year, for a long while. In the revenue share era, every single athletic department, few of which actually turn a profit, Everybody added a $20 million line item, boom, immediately when the House settlement went in. So everyone has had to do two things: cut expenses, find new revenue. Well, it's really hard to cut $20 million of expenses in 1 year. It might be even more difficult to just find $20 million in new revenue. An easy way to do it is this. It's a long-term play, right? But it's an opportunity for teams in the Big 12 not to fall so far behind the Big 10 and the SEC, whose revenue far outpaces the Big 12. The real question is, do we see other leagues or schools individually follow suit? That's going to be fascinating to watch. All right, SportsCenter's coming up. Get caught up on national headlines. Terrio's here next. It's AFR.
After further review.
Man, it is raining right now. Temperature's actually dropping a little, which stinks. It's 59 degrees. But you know as well as I do that the triple-digit temps are around the bend. And when that happens, energy bills go up. We all see an energy bill spike during the summer months. It's hot. Your AC has to work overtime. A great way to lower your energy bills is by installing energy-efficient replacement windows from Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, shutters, and shades. It's Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. So when you install these energy-efficient replacement windows, remember, they measure twice, install once. Every window custom made to the exact specification of your home so it fits perfectly, sealed properly, installed perfectly so it cuts out those costly air leaks, and because they're energy-efficient windows, it's going to lower your energy bills. Save money, invest in your home. ReliefWindows.com.